fantastic.
Awesome, man.
Things are rocking along. Yeah, this is way overdue. Because
Earlier this morning, I was tackling another 3-hour episode of Turbo Pit Fighter, and at 1.5 speed.
speed. Jake doesn't talk any faster though. You could probably go like 2 or 3 times.
Those 3-hour ones are a lot.
Well, the format though, we have gotten a shit ton done, and we're gonna stay with it. But then we're gonna invite people in at when we usually cut out at 11:15. So instead of doing a second episode, but at the same point, we'll kick the person out like a 45 minutes type of thing. But I'll actually edit out just that interview and then put that as like an indie creator exchange interview. Right. So I think it's just going to be a lot less intensive, mainly on me, and also not having to really worry about them submitting a comic book to us and we submitting a comic book to them right now. Let's just get down and hang, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. We're trying to get Ralph Nixon. I don't know if you've come across him on YouTube or Instagram.
I saw you promoting it. Other than that, no.
This guy's nuts, man, and in the most positive way. Because I've been really getting into a manga kick lately. So
I believe I screenshot it, and it's one of 50,000 photos of stuff I want to order. And so I'll get to it eventually.
Yeah, I'm actually right now. I'm not selling any comics. I'm actually selling probably about 2/3 of my paperback collection that I just know I'm never going to read and or do anything with especially with the Francis Fox Library. So, but yeah, I've sold.
I do that with my comics all the time. I talk myself into, yes, this is the time. I'm gonna really do a cull. I'm gonna purge a lot of stuff. I know there's stuff I'm never interested in reading again, and I open up the first box, and I start going through it, and I'm like, this comic sucks, but boy, that cover is sweet. So I can't get rid of that. And then I'm like, well, this one had a guest artist, and if I sell that breaks up the run. And then I just put the cover back on and said, fucking no, forget it. It's easier to keep all this stuff. And then the other thing is, what am I going to sell a bunch of this stuff and have I don't know, hundreds or $1,000? The money just goes, It's like, is it even worth it? I don't know.
Well, if you have the space, I would say, no, it's not worth it. But, as I and the wife are getting older and we're talking about, retirement, not anytime soon, but, it's kind of like, all right, let's just get realistic. I'm not lugging that. If we leave where we're at now for somewhere else, I'm just taking my art supplies with me, and some books and some stuff, maybe 2 or 3 bins.
You're a stronger man than me because
I
think I'd have to lug it all. Though, God forbid I step off a roof one of these days and my wife has to deal with all this shit.
Oh, yeah. Well,
there's so much stuff, and it's a lot of it's like crazy, weird, obscure stuff that is actually worth money, but she doesn't know that. You know what I mean?
No.
And it's only worth something to the right person too.
Yeah. Now, my best friend lives in Philadelphia, and we've known each other since our teenage years. So he'll know if I have whatever I have left. I told him just come and get it from my wife just come and get it. Don't worry. She already knows. And then there's 10 comic book shops up there. There's he'll be able to dump it and. Buy a couple bottles of wine and dump them in the Schuylkill for me, that kind of shit. So. But yeah, no. But just so everybody knows, as Matt and I are rambling on, we do know each other, and we've actually met in real time at IC3 last year, and I know you're looking forward to IC3 this coming year, and I want to talk to you about that in a little bit after you give me a reviewing in what you got out of CROM Anthology. But Matt's the author of what I always refer to as the Indie Comics Bible. If you don't have at least number 1 or 2, you're really missing out. And the reason is number 1 is illustrated by James Edward Clark, the majority of it. But the thing that I actually stole from Matt, in open honesty, is the back of CROM Anthology 1 was just the amount of indie creators that did something relevant to his Tales to Enlighten. And then number 2 is just chock full. This is the other part that I stole from him, which was just, you have a theme, characters, but you just get in contact and just start talking to these indie creators out there. And there's so many of them and they're so amazing. So, I mean, if you really wanted to just jump into the whole indie comic scene, I would definitely say Tales to Enlighten is the best starting point for you. So,
right on. Please finish your thought.
And you can get a hold of Tales to Enlighten 1 and 2 and other materials in the indie comic community from PowerPulpComics.com. Power Pulp Comics with the Coates brothers. And was it Chris Anderson, Jamie Jones, and then you guys are up to 40. I noticed in the Substack post. Looks like there's 40 creators
40, yeah.
now in that. So how is it going actually with
it's going good.
Power Pulp? Yeah.
No, it's going real good. We just let in I think we just accepted 6 more people. John Kelly, where there's a YouTube video up with Jim Rugg talking to John Kelly about his dummy zine.
Watched it last night.
Nick Forker, Sammy Harcum joined. So a lot of cool indie cred people. I feel like it's a good thing. The codes say it's okay. We can expand a little bit at a time. So that's exactly what we're doing.
Nice.
I run the Power Pulp Instagram, so I got people hitting me up all the time. How can I join? How can I join? Right. Listen, there's a frequent FAQ page on the website that says submit your PDF to the Power Pulp email address found there too. And every 3 months we go through and we grab a couple more people. So
it's great. And then I've been doing on Turbo the indie creator update reels, and the first one this year was Eli Schwab of Cosmic Lion.
I saw.
I think he's doing almost two releases next 6 months. I think is what he's, if I'm remembering. I mean, but he's got an amazing amount of stuff coming out, and Adam Lemna's Relic Hunter #2 has been pre-ordered. I have, and getting ready to receive copies of that because
I'm very excited about that. Very excited.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, and Adam and I have some business to work on when it comes to our Aricon collection and expansion book that has been in the works for quite a while.
But, I know that. Yeah. Great.
It's great. It is. And I mean,
and Adam and I might have some business too coming up. But it's too early to talk about.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh man, I'm so excited I feel the momentum of indie comics right now. I went down to my local shop that changed ownership a couple years ago. But the guy's training with my martial arts instructor. So I went and had breakfast with my martial arts instructor, and then I ended up getting a card for the new owner. So I went and met him, and he was immediately like, you see this whole side of the store? I want this to be indie. And I'm like, wow. Okay. I'm like, all right. I said, what can I do?
That sounds like a cool shop.
Yeah, he also has like a big like they call it the danger room. So it's just like and it's not being used. And so he's like, I really want to do like comic book classes, and I'm like, I don't do babysitting. I'm sorry, that's all that is. But anymore, so but I said, there could be some things, where we can kind of rally indie creators together once in a while. He's like, oh yeah. So
I was hoping with a name like Danger Room that they'd have some sort of like stainless steel trapeze thing come out of the ceiling and a flamethrower or something.
Yeah, but he was pretty right out of the gate, like I said.
That sounds
totally
great. Sounds like a cool story.
Yeah, we're gonna see what we can get going, because there's Pat Higgins is another indie creator. We've had him on the indie creator exchange on Turbo. A friend that's been sort of in and out of it, Carlos Torres, Dirty Works at the Crossroads. His graphic novel was there, so it's really exciting. But it seems like there's a great sense of momentum right now with creativity and people coming towards comics.
I 100% agree. I mean, I really, my love for indie comics knows no bounds. I'm very happy to be amongst Power Pulp and 40 other creative, indie creators, and this, and just popping around on Instagram and running that account, I'm able to like share a lot of people's art on our stories and stuff. I kind of try to make our stories like kind of like a showcase of indie comics that I come across through the day,
Right.
So.
Yeah, thanks for the shout outs for what,
my pleasure,
I have going on, as well as what is going on over at the Turbo Pit Fighter channel with Jake Jacobs.
So you guys are going to put all 18 pages into Doom Mag's #1?
It looks like we are, yeah. It's and then what'll happen is then this will then get it'll get basically pulled out of print. So then anybody who has the first teaser and the second teaser, that's it. No more teasers to be printed. Maybe keep the PDF. I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to fool anybody in a sense, but I think the thing about it is because, and I know Jake feels the same kind of anxiety of like, we're coming up on our 4-year anniversary this March, doing our show every Sunday. But it was like an hour and a half sometimes, and then we would do an interview or we would review, comics and stuff. So, and we're at 18 pages. So it's kind of like, yeah, we've got to make some changes to create some momentum. And so that's why the Doom Mag's anthology kind of got together, because he was just really getting anxious about, incorporating more people. I was like, but I convinced him to get a Ken Landgraf 6-pager. And then I think that when we got a hold of that, it was just like getting thrown off of a cliff. And just,
I mean, it goes without saying, but I really like Ken a lot.
I love him. I envy him. Other than living in New York area, I want his life. I want to illustrate all the crazy stuff that he illustrated. Every time he talks, and I used to hang out with Keith Richards for a weekend working on a comic. You're like, which he didn't, or I don't know if he has or not, but he really did work with some great people. I mean, Gil Kane, Wally Wood, and come on.
He posted a picture of himself at a show the other day, and next to him was a huge stack of the originals, original artwork, and it's all kind of crinkly from all so much ink. It's just like, I love it.
The glue. I literally I look at my work and I literally say it's not Landgraf enough. It's too pristine. I got to do something, So love him. So yeah, I'm working on the next Crom and Dravanis 6-pager. I'm going to get a 6-pager from him.
Awesome.
So I'll be putting that together over the next week or two. But let's get this out of the way, because I have been very much waiting to get your feedback, because just so everybody knows, like, I'm one piece of this CROM anthology. I am the project lead. I'm doing my best to pull people together. It's very effortless at this point because I have to say the professionalism has been outstanding with people and deadlines and staying connected. But the one thing I do get frustrated with is not getting some good committed feedback. Now I do get that from Jake. Jake does, either online or he'll be like, why did you think this? Or why did you do that? Or why didn't you, and I love, it's like I've said before in art school, it's the one thing I miss is having those critiques and as maybe as brutal as they can be, it always forms, what would come next. So I've been looking forward to your brutal,
No, I'm not going to be brutal.
I know. I'm being hyperbolic.
Because, there's some, certainly some artwork in here that doesn't resonate with me, but it doesn't mean I'm going to shit on somebody because I don't, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But
overall, let's just start.
What a book, man.
Yeah, let's just start with that. Like it's 256 pages. It's black and white. It's all centered around CROM, sword and sorcery. There's some humor. There's some reprints from the past. There's a lot of new stuff. And then there's this, I think it's like 56 pages in the back where it's double page spreads. Like I said, just talking about the brutal blade. But when you got a hold of it and then, made your way into it, what was your reaction initially to it?
Oh, I mean, I love it. I love a nice, thick anthology. I mean, the idea of an anthology is everything's not going to resonate with you. You know what I mean? It's like you're going to like some stuff. You're not going to. Exactly.
This is what, 450 or something, right?
550 pages or something.
I got a little ways to go. I got a little.
So even with this, I would read a couple stories, put a bookmark in it, read something else, and then come back the next night, read a couple more. And that's the way to do something like this, I think. I don't want to sit down and read this cover to cover and just be like, okay, I did it,
Yeah.
But I love that it's the magazine size, not comic book size, the dimensions of the pages. And same with Jamie Barrow's CROM project. I really admire that both you guys are doing like the magazine stuff. So let's just start with the cover. I really enjoy. Oh, there's Jamie's stuff. Yeah. Your cover that you did here.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed. You kind of like over a week or maybe more, you kind of posted, the pencils, the inks, and then this version of the color, and like as kind of like a progress thing. And I really enjoyed watching it come along.
Oh,
like at one point I thought, oh, that's the finished cover, and it wasn't. So, but yeah, great cover, Kurt.
Thank you. Yeah. I got the best, praise for the cover was from Ron Parsons, who said, this would look great on the side of a van.
Yep.
Which was
true.
Exactly. And it all started with this alternate coloring. I think you and I actually got we had a discussion, I think maybe on Turbo Pit Fight with Jake, the three of us, but like not having to stay like flesh color on characters. So I literally just said, well, I'm going to do a back pose of CROM standing up against, Alava was a big part of it too, for the title. But I was like, I'm going to have to deal with a purple CROM, and then go from there. And it was.
I like the decision too that you got your main character, but you give the back to the audience. Yep. You don't even, that's that's a brave choice, but I love it. Fucking demon head.
Yep.
Awesome,
and then
dude.
these are two characters that are kind of like slowly coming into my version of CROM. So this, and as well as this guy down here. So, it was kind of like, all right, let's really put things forward. Now, the other part of it was I have a fantasy art friend, Matt Stawicki, and we meet usually about once a month, and we get tacos, drinks and beers, and talk fantasy art and comics and all that fun stuff. Well, he has an oversized printer. So he can do 17 wide as long as you want. So, but the paper is 17 by 22. I have to tell you, I have fallen in love with working at that size.
Oh, wow.
I usually work at 13 by 19, but it's starting to feel smaller because I don't know if you've seen Mr. Simon Beasley out there talking about his Slain work, but a lot of these pages are 18 by 24.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? That's why. Yeah. And then when these things get shot down, that's how they just get. And he's able to do all of this. So I was like, God damn it, you know? It's just like, how am I going to beat this? And I was like, well, I could buy a $1,000 oversized printer. Invest. I haven't done it yet. I have to, like I said, as I was talking earlier about selling books and stuff like that, got to build the coffers somehow. So.
Right. I imagine your paperback collection must be enormous too.
Well, it's good. It's getting smaller. Yeah, it was, you know, all in configuration with the Gardner Francis Fox Library, because it's kind of like his contemporaries. I also wanted to get those guys in there too and stuff. So, but it's funny because a lot of that stuff that I'm selling has already been transcribed by other people who some have a relationship either with an estate or a lapsed estate, or, you know what I mean? They've sort of taken it upon themselves like I have with Gardner Fox. So I'm going to be reaching out to some of them to see if we can do a little bit more collaboration on the Gardner Francis Fox Library Substack.
Great.
So, all right. Now that we've gotten through the cover.
Yeah. So this first story, CROM Daring.
Yeah.
Very cool. The idea that there's an ape in it and hits all the buttons for me.
Yeah, which is a very centralized character, which will get revealed over time. I'm really excited about. Yeah. I'll even do a spoiler. The ape gets killed in this next part, but it's interesting how it happens. So,
oh boy!
But yeah. So fun times.
Yeah, good stuff there. Let's see, Edmund. Who's this? Edmund Legault that worked on this?
So that was a 1940s comic called Dart Daring, where I basically lifted the composition. And sort of the arc-ish thing. But the thing is that the character looked like I couldn't stop looking at this character and thinking, it looks like a very young Robert Plant, especially with the tight leather pants, Yep. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to start. I'm going to lift off of this, and then I want there, because this is the first time CROM leaves the jungle officially.
Okay.
And so there's a whole backstory for how he gets tied to the mast of a ship, and then that ship is like, because like I didn't want to be like, oh, here you go. Here's CROM leaving the forest, you know, that type of thing. It's just he gets kind of he does get shanghaied to this this ship, and then you eventually through this, you know, there'll be a story before this that'll kind of explain this down the way.
So the Dart Daring story, that's who Edmund Legault.
I gave him credit for that. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. And so I didn't, you know, it's a public domain character, you know, comic and everything. So
do you have a giant timeline that you keep filling in as these stories come along?
So CROM breaks down for me into 4 major parts. The first part is his youth, which is what I attacked in CROM Collected. So I did these 4 stories, which there'll be more of these too. So these are where he's just like, okay, all right, right. I got a sword.
Surfer, you know. CROM.
Yeah. He's just, I mean, he is just, you know, bare bones. And the thing is, like, his sister does a lot of the thinking, if not all of the thinking, for the both of them in order to maneuver through these situations. then he goes on his adventures, which are Fox's four CROMs, so this is where it packs in that people basically gravitate to and said, oh, I'll do a CROM adventure. So this would be Adventurous CROM.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get to CROM and the Warlock of Shard, or the prose and illustration, this story is the cusp of him being transformed. So the demonic character, the Cthulhian type character that's in here, Norleviathan, is the catalyst that shifts his consciousness, and he becomes self-aware in an existential way. And so then that's where CROM and CROM of Clarn. This is him having traveled south, and he finds what he thinks and believes is his past.
Right.
So there's this shift.
Do you want to jump? You want to jump right to that story now, or you want to wait till we get there?
Oh, I'm fine with anything. I mean,
let's just jump right there, because that is the most. I mean, it's not the most. It's not my favorite thing in the whole book, probably.
Sure,
but it's certainly extremely interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that story. That was done back in
the 40s, late 40s, early 50s, and by Gardner Fox.
Yep.
And it was for a pulp magazine called Planet Stories.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, which is so amazing, the delineation between fantasy and science did not exist yet. So when they had these Planet Stories, they carried swords and blasters, and there was magic and there was technology, but it was all blurred together. Mm-hmm. So I took the sword, which was the story, which was originally called Sword of the Seven Sons, which is it is heavily sword and sorcery influenced. You could tell, like, the first half of this story, Fox probably, if he could or should have, he would have just stayed into that place. But there was this element of this ship landing, crash landing on this planet, and basically it's very fuzzy on. I mean, who's dead, who dies, but that's how the sword gets into the ship, and then the guy, his name is Flane. It's just this. It was a really kind of like a mess when it came to like the characters, but the love interest, Red Avalon, she was particularly like a Lala, where there was this strength and attraction, obviously, for Flane to her and her to Flane and everything. But yeah, I'm taking, that's, once again, it's public domain, but because I'm the custodian of the Fox Library, I pretty much could do whatever I want with the material. But the idea is to help people jump into Fox's material, but more importantly, I don't want his voice to get lost, with him being the originator and creator for CROM. So the idea of this story is to bring him into this sort of like, they're like puzzle pieces. You know what I mean? Like, each of these little stories, I have another one I'm working on where he learns how to astral project. So he now starts learning how to like move around the world. Yeah, it gets fucked. And then once again, that's Fox. You know what I mean? And that story and that character, I'll save and just tell, obviously, when we get closer to publishing and everything. Mm-hmm. But if not published, is, I mean, that the character, the original character in that story is a prick. I mean, and I love it because it helps me keep CROM moving towards this evil god. That's what CROM is. CROM's not a cool guy. Like, he's no Odin by any standards. I mean, there's nothing really ever written from Robert E. Howard about CROM. But if you go into the Irish myths of CROM Carach, he was a fertility god, one of the first gods that they sacrificed babies to, you know, in order for him to fertilize the crops and keep the, you know, the livestock, you know, fruit, all that kind of stuff and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, you know, when they had blights and plagues and everything like that, they were all, he's really pissed at us and stuff. So I kind of like, you know, move this in, but you know, once again, I got to take this barbarian idiot, you know, coming out of a jungle and maneuver him all the way up. So then I'm working. The fourth area is I right now call it General CROM. So there's going to be a comic I'll get started in this coming second anthology called General CROM, where I don't know exactly how I'm going to. Basically, it leads this army like Genghis Khan,
mm-hmm.
but the people start his army starts turning against him, and so he has to kind of like start, you know, he tries to keep things together, but it doesn't, and there'll be a whole lot of fallout that kind of then really maneuvers him. It's basically that one step closer to becoming a god. But
so how many of these public domain stories are there?
He did so pulp wise he didn't do that many, which is like for pulps, because the ones that are resonating with Sword and Planet are the Planet stories, and there's about 6 of those. And then in the late 70s, early 80s, well, through the 70s, he did Nile of Fire Travels, which is not in the public domain,
Sure.
for Dragon magazine.
Oh.
And then there's a story he did for a gaming magazine right before he died. He sold it, called The Return of Dargal, which is like a sword and sorcery type of thing, but it's more like a John Carter Man of Mars kind of thing.
But these have CROM in it? They're all CROM stories? Okay.
No. So
how many CROM stories are there?
There's only the 4.
Okay.
There's only the 4. I've generated the characters to be CROM in these public domain stories.
Okay.
So all I did, I mean, literally, Matt, all I'm doing is changing the name, and then shifting the names, you know, because then I'll interject Ophir and Queen Tanit and Lala. You know, there'll always be reference points to kind of put that through there. But, you know, Fox was not a deep writer, like in any sense of the word. So he really took, I think, the Conan pastiche methodology to writing these adventure stories, these man with a sword running. And so, you know, like his Kothar and his Kyric and his Nile it's basically the same character, you know.
Okay.
It's just, you know, and I'm building a lore book. I have been building a lore book for all of that sword and sorcery material. So all of the Fox sword and sorcery material will be in a lore book, where then I'll have some light illustrations and maps in there. And that I'm hoping will also help people, you know, like deepen their stories, like give a more of a connection to this without them feeling like, you know, they're stealing or being stolen from, you know, that whole kind of copyright thing.
And all these illustrations in this story?
These are mine.
I love it.
Yeah.
It looks
so.
It looks and feels just like, you know, all those illustrations you'd find in those 1930s, 40s pulp magazines. You know,
but I am whole hog going in. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, this one with the airship. I mean, I fucking love that, dude.
Which one?
It's on page 11. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is so if you look at it very closely, like here's another spoiler. These ships only fly at the south of the planet, CROM's world, because of these crystals. So there's a crystal powder in these balls, these underneath the ship, the hull of the ship, and there's basically this magnetic repulsion, and then they just have to basically kind of like quote unquote row themselves through the air to get through. But once they get outside of Barrier Peaks, did you play Dungeons and Dragons and Expedition Beyond Barrier Peaks?
No.
So that was was that Hawk, Greyhawk? That was basically, you got to go into a dungeon situation where it was a spaceship that lands and is doing research on, you know, the Dungeons and Dragons world. But you get phasers and grenades and all this kind of stuff. But the moment you leave the ship and move away, they start deteriorating. So all of this, like, you know, because he has the flamethrower, right?
Right.
So this flamethrower, you know, it's very limited because they've lost the identifier of, like, they don't even understand how the crystal works, like its powers and stuff like that. But people do, which are the wizards and the sorcerers that are, you know, basically using the crystal power to, you know, and then they're trying to figure out. So that's like a whole nother, like I said, war.
Wasn't it like a green flame or something?
Purple. Yeah.
I love. Listen, when I got to this section, I was full. Listen, I read comics. I don't read a lot of words. So when I got to this section, I fully expected to skip over it. But I started it, and I was like, "There's a fucking spaceship? What the fuck?" So I totally got into this. Yeah.
Well, thank you for saying that, because that is by design. You know, I do the inset, like I illustrate each of the pages with basically the dominant element on that page.
Right.
So if the worst case scenario was you just looked at all the pictures, the 31 pictures, you would walk away with, wait a second, there's fucking spaceships and flamethrowers, like, so and I'm hoping, like, you know, because the same thing happens to me. I'm like, I really don't want to read this. But then when you kind of run out of stuff, like back in the day with Savage Sword of Conan and Heavy Metal, you know, you'd have to wait a month for the next book, or like Heavy Metal was like a 2-month wait because it was like, you know, 6 times a year.
At one
point,
yeah.
So you're flipping through the magazines. You're like, oh, for the 18th time, I'm reading Arzak, and the 18th time, I'm reading Inky Banals, you know, like that. And then you get to these short stories that are illustrated. You're like, all right, whatever, I'll read it. And then you're like, holy shit. You know what I mean? Like, whoa, I've really missed out on that. So I, you know, as dyslexic as I am, and as much as it's a struggle for me to sit down and just commit to reading. I wanted that same kind of, like, you know, I went back to it 6 months later and I read the first half and I'm like, oh, that really inspired me to put this story together. That's exactly what I want.
Well, reading this story really inspired me. I wrote a lot of notes down about it.
Cool.
At one point, because I got a thing that I'm cooking in the background, and Crom's going to appear in some sort of form. So
nice. Yes. So by the way, just so everybody knows, just as a really good breaking point, Crom is a public domain character. Anybody can do anything they want, and it's including the material I publish. You know, I put out, like, I'm continually feeding into the public domain. Now, if somebody else, like, for instance, just because I just really want clarity here, like Dexter Jones's God Crom, right? That's Dexter Jones's God Crom. So, like, this is not in the public domain. So that's what I do say in the beginning of the book, and I try to make people aware. But at the same time, like, the conversations I've had with Dexter, it's like, and other individuals, they're like, yeah, I know, but, you know, I really want people to enjoy it and get inspired, you know, and that's the whole idea.
Right. So. Well, this book was definitely inspiring, and that story in particular, like I said, I fully expected to skip over it, and right away it's a spaceship, and I'm like, gee, well, I gotta read some more of this, and I read the whole thing. I mean, this illustration you have of Crom swinging in, shooting the fucking flamethrower at the army, it's like
the dark side. Yep.
Love it.
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
Thank you. Yeah.
Cool stuff. Now that there was like almost no comic talk in that one, but
yeah. No, it's fun.
So, going back to Jim Gullett's pinup here, 2-page spread.
Yep.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, and you know, not to Jim's a mercurial fella, so he's fallen out of comics again.
Okay.
Like I dragged him back into.
Right, he was doing CROM stuff already, right? Is that the story?
He's where are you? I gotta reach back. Yeah.
When you got going, you found him, right?
When I got going, I kept I would do at least a monthly, if not weekly, search CROMthebarbarian.com, and these started popping up on was it Drive Through Comics, and so I was like, damn, these things are really, really cool. And the thing about Jim, I was just saying this yesterday on the podcast with Jake, is I think I was. Yeah, I was. I envied the facial construction that he is able to keep with CROM throughout his comic book storytelling. Like I struggle with keeping a face moving, like this is CROM's face and CROM identifier, but more importantly, the expression, like the pissed off, angry.
Yeah, he's definitely got that angry look.
And there's nobody that has like come close to him. So I've been trying to keep, he got burned, by comics in general. He was very much like myself, at the same time, like, I'll do this for free, or, I'll do this for free. And then, you lose contact with the publisher, and then you're not hearing this, and where did this, and it demoralizes you. So, I've been selling his little comic here. I buy him directly from him. I even pay him a little bit of a profit margin on it ahead of time. So whatever I put on top of it's just my profit margin.
Right.
But I think, he just recently moved, and I think he's just, kind of fed up with, because he left doing this and he started doing slice of life cartooning. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I said, well, if you ever want to come back, you're always going to have Paige. I will always put you in a CROM. I thought you're at the top of the list, Jim, because I adore your work. Man.
He's got the CROM credentials.
I'm like, oh yeah, man. So then he started he started sending me stuff, and then he was working on a story. And then of course, when I got out in beginning of the year and looking to get people involved, he was like, I'm sending it out again this right now. And I'm like, okay, that's no problem.
I love these monsters he's fighting though. Fucking.
I think you know who I akin him to?
Who's that?
John Buscema.
Okay.
And the reason I like the most depressing thing in comics that ever hit me was hearing how Big John Buscema hated being a comic book artist. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? And you look up the interviews with people who did the classes with him and interacted with him, just hated it. Thought it was beneath, you know what I mean? He was beside himself about it. But this guy just manufactured an entire world for Conan, right. But hated doing it. Like, it just seems it's so weird. But I'm not saying that Jim is of the caliber for John, Big John, or maybe in the hate department, but it just seems like he can throw things out, like whatever he just throws onto the page, it feels like it belongs there. Like you look at this thing back here and you're like, what the hell is it? But I know, but it has to be there though. You know what I mean?
I was assuming that's CROM later on as the god.
Don't know.
Right?
Don't know. I've asked him. He's like, I don't know. That's what I mean. Like that. And I love that. But at the same time, you know what I mean? It's It's like whatever.
I just assumed that was future CROM, but that's cool.
I had no input for this whatsoever. It was
that's
just
fun.
I think he just was like, maybe my voice in the background was like, yeah, I'll put you in anything and stuff. And,
Now, as far as input on this John Molina story. The Serpent's Lair?
Yeah.
You wrote that?
No. So
Okay.
David Molina is his brother,
Mm-hmm.
and David Molina, here he is. He did this piece.
Oh, cool.
We were working on something. We are still working on something, but he had a very big life shift. Just, I mean, like across the board. It was just, and I said, hey, dude, just go and take care of whatever it is you need to take care of. You know, you're one of the first people that, jumped on board to help me with releasing the 2024 collection and stuff. So then his brother starts like, knocking on the door and be like, oh, I want to do a CROM comic. I want to do a CROM comic. And I was like, yeah, sure. What are you thinking? So he doesn't, month and a half goes by and these pencil pages start coming. Right. But I have like a wish list I have on my wall. I have this big dry erase wall in my studio here.
Mm-hmm.
And I always put like little wishes. And one of the wishes was like, man, it would be so cool to get some kind of like manga, Japanese animation type feel in the book,
Mm-hmm.
And, he submits this and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And I'm like, so, okay. So I say to him, I said, well, what's going on? He's like, I don't know. I'm just, I really want to be, he wanted to be an animator, but he joined the army instead. So, he's still in the army, and then he wants to be an animator, but he feels like comics is obviously a good place. So he's like, well, let me start working on something, maybe like 5-6 pages. It ended up being 7 pages, ended up being 9 pages, it's right now it's 17 pages.
Okay.
Penciled. So his last page he's working on right now. Then he got to the point where he submitted a majority of those pages, like 10 or 11 of them. I was like, well, look, I got to go to print. Can you start inking? And he's like, I hate my inking. And I was like, oh my God, really? But on that board, I wanted to introduce what I would refer to as like the Ken Landgraf, the dots,
yeah,
the Zipatone type of thing.
Screen tone, sure.
So I was like, I just, I got to pay a piece of newsprint and then turn that into this 30% gray, dot thing in Photoshop, put it over the pencils, cut out, kept that 100%, dropped the pencils down to 10%, and then just inked. So, and it's not that much depth in like inking because I wanted to keep the Amerimanga, cartoon feeling for it in there, but I couldn't be any happier. I was a little worried because he just got in contact with me yesterday, and I was like, oh, maybe I lost him because he is a part of the army, and right now militarized why we're we're all over the place. But he's like, no, I got the last page. I think it'd make a good break for me so I could start concentrating on some other work. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, that's great. So
awesome. So we'll get the second half of it in the next issue?
We will.
Awesome. Great. Next up is pinup. What's this pinup here?
Yeah, that's CROM and the Upside Down Damsel. This was in my time where I wanted to ink like Ken Landgraf. And so I did that same thing I did here. So there's all these screens I had in there before, and then I printed it out and then just went to town on it. And you can still see some of the screens in there and stuff. But I'm not as bold as Ken is yet in the way he can just...
He slaps them right on there.
Yeah, but there's like such an intelligence in a sense.
Oh, sure.
Like to like, well, why does that? Oh, that's because it's all sunbursty or what, and I'm like, oh my God. So I think there's going to be a time where I'm going to I want to do a pinup where it's really hard to discern whether it's a Ken Landgraf or not. You know what I mean? Like I really want to be able to do that. So that's why I love watching his YouTube channel where he just sits there and it's like Ken Bronze Age cartoon, Ken Landgraf. I mean, so and so, because every time I commission him, I always like, please just go on and show inking the work because I love and he does working on Kurt Brugel's CROM. yes.
Yeah.
Even my wife loves it. She just sits there and watches it. It's just great.
I like because when he inks, he does like 1, 2, 3, 4,
Oh,
1, 2, 3,
I
4,
love
5,
it.
6,
I
1,
love
2,
it.
3. Yeah, it's fun.
It's great.
Then what's this Japanese Conan material you got here? I love it.
So I was actually going to put some magazine reviews, American wise, into the book. So it would have been like from Cinema Fantastique or so on and so forth. But I was on eBay looking for the magazines to be able to buy the magazine and then scan it to get in there, and this popped up. And it was actually a set of 4 of them. There were 4 2-pagers. They were different auctions, and they were coming out of Japan, and the shipping was like $7. And I was like, okay. So I contacted, I said, if I buy all 4 of them, what would the combined shipping be? And he's like, $7.
Yeah, because it's paper,
and I
man.
went, yeah, exactly. And I went, buy now. And so I've got 3 others, but I wanted, just like Savage Sword of Conan, I wanted you to come across like, this is, for me, ground zero.
Sure.
The trailer itself still rocks me. Like, it just guts me down to like my base primal moral existence. I don't know what it is. I still don't know what it is. I don't want to know, but I see imagery from that first movie, and I'm hot butter on toast. You know what I mean? It's just, I can't, and it just brings me to like the safest place. So I'm hoping, for me, I've said this over and over again, this is my art. Like, this is like a painting to me, this book, right? And I go through this every day. I flip through it. Sits next to my book. It's on the top left-hand corner of my drawing desk. And so before I get going, I literally flip through. I just stop at a page and I go, God damn, it's so good, so cool. Like, oh my God, just look at this, And then I'll start breaking this down, and then like, oh yeah, I got to talk to Rick. Matter of fact, he was just texting me, Rick Frank. But anyhow, yeah, I want people to be just like that. And then the fact that it was in Japanese has that like, and then it's why I butted it up against John's Japanese. So this is part of the curation.
Right. I mean, just seeing it like in this black and white kind of photocopied almost.
Yep.
It just reminds you like buying the magazines and stuff back then. It's like you wouldn't buy a magazine these days with a studio movie that looked, you wouldn't get a representation of the movie like this in a professional magazine. Like, it just wouldn't, it would be all slick and glossy these days. So this really reminds me of those old magazines, man. I love it.
Yeah, I want to do some like reviews of the those 80s Sword and Sorcery Conan ripoff movies, which I still today watch over and over again, but especially Deathstalker. But and then pull the frames out and then do a similar type of thing.
Oh, nice.
So that'll be coming, but maybe down the road or something like that. I got to prioritize my time, but
I'm sure it sounds like you have a million things going on.
But that's just my attention deficit disorder in full creative mode. Like, I can't focus in on something for more than like 3 hours is a long time. But the thing is like, I can get up at 5 a.m, work till 8, have breakfast, move to another project, work on that for an hour and a half, move to another project, work on that for another half. And in 6 months have 8 things completed.
Right.
And that makes more logical sense to me than just like being forced to go through and finish something. And it looks like shit by the end. The last 2 pages look like shit. I want every page to look like, well, you remember on Turbo Pit Fighter a couple weeks ago where Jake and I got in the fight where he thought my pages were final.
Oh yeah.
And I had to explain to him, I don't do one and done pages. I don't sit and make page 1,
right.
done, go to page. I don't. I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11. Oh shit. Something came up in 9 and 10.
You shouldn't have named the file.
No, it was totally
final.
my fault. That was totally my fault. I take 110% blame on it, but I don't want him living in a world with me as a creator to be like, oh, well, if I give you 5 pages, then the first page is done. Just give me the first page.
Because you were explaining it like after a couple times, you were like, he's like, well, and he says, well, the file is final. And immediately you were like, that's my bad.
Yeah, no, I'll own it. Because I have this thing where I do this to myself. Exactly. I have a folder. It's called Final, and I'll scan everything, and then I'll look at it and I'll go, oh, no. I could do a whole nother, like I could take my gray pen and some spray paint, and I could like bounce through and bring it up to another level. So then I got to scan it again as a final. So that was unfortunate. But that was that. Hey, Matt, I just want to do a shout out. We've got 5 people in the YouTube over there. Just Jamie's there. Brutal Blade of Crom Crew, represent, Bat Merc, Saboteur Comics. Yeah. Thanks, guys, for showing up and hanging. I'm sure you're all snowed in. And if you're not, you must be in California.
Apologies that you're putting up with us.
All right, let's keep going.
All right. Lala and the Time Machine. Another inspired by Gardner Fox in your art.
Yep.
Oh, I mean, there's way more sci-fi time travel type elements to these stories than I would have imagined, knowing nothing about it,
Gardner Fox, at the core, what he was best, in my opinion, at is holding and using time and space as a storytelling element. Like, he could be really bad at writing a story. Like, the story could like basically suck. Mm-hmm. But when it has, like, he's able to kind of jump around time wise and space, there's just some kind of weird thing. It automatically, everything is absolved. And I ended up, I love the thing. So these stories are all based, when I work on the Lala, it's based on his Cave Girl comics that he did back in the 50s for Magazine Comics with Bob Powell. And once again, holding the voice of Fox. But the thing I'm trying to figure out by copying, if you will, the comics from the Golden Age is I wonder if Fox worked, or the magazine, like the publishing company, worked in a Marvel method, because I feel like at times, or I'm questioning whether he actually writes a 6-panel script with the words and then Bob illustrates it, or is it that like Stan Lee thing where he's like, well, yeah, we're going to have, Cave Girl, and she's going to be da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and then it's going to run into this guy, and da-da-da-da-da, and then Bob just puts out, because it always gets jammed up at the end. The stories always seem to get jammed up at the end, because they're they only get 8 pages. I think that's what this is. So yeah, I'm kind of like, there's many layers to the voice and the mechanics of it and everything that I'm interested in trying to preserve and also integrate into my own work. Like mm-hmm. you were saying with your illustrations for Crom of Clarn, they look like they're from the pulp area. Well, that's because I copied pulp illustrations. Pretty much all that I can do in order to understand, the sensitivity or sensibility to it, and obviously go about it with this painterly texturing kind of way.
Right.
But if you go to the second to the last page, top left-hand corner, if I was to say I nailed it in the way I do the tone and the, with the materials, mm-hmm. like that's gray wash, black color pencil over Ralph. then masked it with like a free cut. Like I literally printed the page and then put it back, but then I did a free cut of that area and then just hit it with white spray paint to knock that into that like blood, but still hold. Like that's what I'm going for. Like in basically,
white spray paint.
Yeah, white cans and spray paint. I did masking and like there's
a
another one
fucking
here.
mad scientist over there. What
Are you ready? Are you here? So page 2, that's how this character gets all. He is almost completely obliterated because it's the same thing. I cut out a mask, blocks out everything else, and then I just take a can of spray paint and literally just go, and I hit it once, and then done, and then it basically subdues the character of focus because I want this character to be obviously the guy who's going to stab him in the back. But I don't need him. I don't need all that detail. But you can still get in there and see the detail. That's the crazy cool thing. Like you could like really like tilt the paper and be like, oh shit, look. I mean, I did a lot of work and then obliterated with black spray paint.
Yeah, I could see right along on this edge here the overspray.
Yep, and I love that too. So I love the old. Like I don't.
I love working spray paint, but I mean, I wouldn't have thought of anyone doing it on a. I mean, you see Sienkiewicz or Jim Mahfood or whatever; they're always doing shit like that,
Yeah.
But ordinarily, you don't see, spray paint being involved. That's rad, dude.
Yep.
Yeah. So, where are we here? Oh, then you got the public domain Arabian Nights,
which is available on Gardner on CROMTheBarbarian.com and Amazon. So this was my big accomplishment is figuring out how to navigate publishing comics on Amazon because they are not easy. They are no leeway. Like I get so much leeway from Lulu in my printing. It's ridiculous what they let me get away with. I mean, ridiculous. But the Amazon, no. So it took me a month and a half to figure this out.
Like technical details, right? Is this what you're talking about?
It's basically they don't like cutting off text, but you have to have a certain amount of trim in the file. So the files themselves have got to read mechanically to the computer because there's no people looking at your shit.
Of course not.
So it's just this computer. So there's no rationalizing with it, but it's getting things so they're not like the problem is at one point it was almost like, why don't I just print it comic book size? But then I started realizing, because this is basically 2 size of the comic because I had to bring down the reduction so much. Like you can see how here, anyhow,
I love that color version.
Yeah, well, that's how. But you know me, I want to see things in black and white too.
Of course you do.
Like I love watching things color black and white transit. But you can get the whole Arabian Nights, which if you're a sword and sorcery nut and you want to really build your stories, like this is one of the cornerstones that Robert E. Howard and Clark Ashton Smith and all those guys used was the Arabian Nights and the Icelandic sagas. And you basically have sword and sorcery for, that. But the other thing was that I've actually sold a couple of these already on Amazon. But I ordered this. I literally jumped out of my account, paid the $20, got free shipping because of Amazon Prime, and it showed up 2 days later.
What else could you hope for?
You can't beat that. And that's international. Like this is available in every country that has Amazon. So
that's this is probably the single benefit of Amazon.
Right, exactly. If you were ever to say there's a benefit, that is it. So I got that, and then I was cocky enough to take the first 2018 digest, and these are the original full color that were digest size too, by the way. These weren't. These were actually comic book size. And then my original CROM Youth.
I don't have that version.
And this is $15 on both CROMBarbarian.com and Amazon. But if you have an Amazon Prime account, free shipping, and it's here to you in 2 days. So,
love it.
So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm going to be getting everything I have into
let me
that format.
Let me screenshot that so I can put it with the other 50,000 things I got to go buy.
Yeah, go for it. So yeah, Sinbad. Who doesn't love Sinbad movies, especially with Ray Harryhausen?
Right.
But just wanted to really get that in there. But the really cool thing was, and this is once again with my curating, and you want to, because each of the stories are PDF files, and so what I do is then in Adobe Acrobat, I can then insert the stories wherever I want. Well, what I did was I did the mock-up, and it was just sort of alphabetical, whatever the file name was. So I dumped them all in there. And this was naturally the first thing I'd come to, which is like almost halfway through the book, where this fairy tale butted up to this fairy tale in this place, because this is Cromdahar, which is with Jason Schoonover doing the pencils and writing. And this is where we spent like 8 episodes talking about, coming up with our own thing. He's going to do his own ink version of this. So there's going to be a second printing of this story with his inks. And then I'm hoping to get him so we can then do the opposite, the same story in opposite, where Crom goes into the other side of the cave and runs into the military squad.
I love it.
Yeah. And it is, with Jason, it's totally about the kind of modern fairy tale type of thing. Because the Kandahar giant, he was totally obsessed. Him and his brother were totally obsessed with this Cromdahar giant thing. And I was like, well, we should do a Cromdahar. And he's like, we're doing it. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I saw an episode or 2 of you guys talking about all that. So I knew that was going to be in the, I didn't know all the stuff, but I knew that was going to be in there.
Yeah,
so, that's great. So, I mean, another, it's not just sword and sorcery stuff, I love it. What's this? The James Anthony pinup?
Yep. So I really love James's work. He's one of those minimalists in a, very much in the sense that the work is, very line oriented, maybe not detailed in a lot of it, but he, I just really took to the composition. And, there's something in the British drinking water, where they have their own sensitivity towards fantasy and stuff. And I could just feel it kind of come through in this one pencil pinup he posted on Instagram. And I just reached out and was like, dude, love your work, blah, blah, blah. Can I don't know, do a version of it, my own? And he's like, hell yeah. And sent me the pencils, and I printed it out, and I did a couple of videos here on CROM Barbarian YouTube, and yeah. And that whole bottom third, Matt, is gray spray paint.
You're fucking wild.
But look at it; it's so cool.
Look
at her boots. Look at her boots and shit. Yeah, and then that, and also the sun back there. That because this is part of one of his. This is what. He has this crazy story. I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's all these females on this planet, and I'm just like, what the hell, dude? It's amazing.
Yeah, you can see that white splatter there on the moon or whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
Love it.
Now, like the Lillian Chesney Arabian Nights, that I bought that for like $17 in like 2013 on Amazon, where most of those copies of that comic were going for no less than $50. So I got it for 17 because it was completely, it was effed, it was fucked. You can see it right here. That's what I got for $17 because I was like, oh, I'll just scan it and reprint it. You know what I mean? But I just never found, and I wanted to do it in a thing. This is a stamps comic. So they would take a stamp from a country and then do 4 pages about the sort of the imagery of the comic of the characters, historical. So the German, Siegfried and the Dragon, another cornerstone to Sword and Sorcery, but the Vincent Napoli, right? Vincent Napoli. Where is it? Vincent Napoli, right? Yep, Vincent Napoli. He is probably one of the most unsung pulp illustrator ever. There's so many stories I've run across where the stories suck so much that his illustration basically was the best thing about it. You know what I mean? They should have started with his illustration, and the guy should have wrote off of the illustration. But it was just sick. So I was like, wow, man, what a great combo! Like Golden Age, Public Domain, Sword and Sorcery history, and then Vincent Napoli. I was like, duh. Then you have the Forge. So here's another continuity thing. So Siegfried and the Forge and the evil dwarf and everything. So you got Afgorkon, which is the wizard, the lich from the first Kothar story, which is called The Sword and the Sorcerer. And I've lifted him now because I can with the Gardner Francis Fox Library. The spawn of Afgorkon, which is the forging of Skullbiter. So that's and this is Rick. So this is a photographer, illustrator.
The sword, Skullbiter, it's the coolest sword around.
That's what we're working on.
What's the other name for it? I know there's a couple names for...
Skullcracker.
Skullcracker, too, right?
And then somebody else said something. It was like Skullbiter, Skullcracker, and Skull... something. I can't remember, but
that Skullbiter is definitely working its way into something I'm working on. And also, if you go back to page 1 of the Siegfried and the Dragon one, the idea this guy's making a magic sword named Needful.
Yep,
that's also I'm stealing that too.
Cool, man. That's what it's about.
So tell me, this photographer, what's the deal here? What's this collaboration about?
So Rick Frayne is a Delaware original. So when I got out of college, the big thing prior to the internet was trying to find, places where artists were to look for work, to exhibit, to they own this, him and his now business partner, who used to be his wife, worked at this place called Tallyville Frame Shop, and it was just a hotbed of like people bringing art to them, and like real art, like Wyeth prints, and so they're framers by trade, but they're also fantasy artists that participated in the PhilCon up in Philly, which is one of the first cons, if you will, when it came to fantasy writing and art and stuff. So I found him by walking by the shop, the illustrations he had. He does these almost photorealistic watercolor illustrations. And that was really hot in comics, was watercoloring comics. So I ran into the store and I was like, hey, who's the guy that does the stuff in the window? And he's like, me? And I was like, oh, cool. I'm in the comics. And I was like, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, okay. I was like, well, maybe we could hang out or something. And he's like, okay. And I was like, all right, maybe not. I don't know. So life goes on. And when I get out of Trader Joe's and come back to, doing art full time, friend of mine says, hey, you should come to this gallery show at the Tallyville Frame Shop, and you should probably start exhibiting into some of their shows. Well, of course, I started submitting my stuff, and he was like, hello, how are you? And I was like, hey, how's it going, Rick? So when I finished CROM 2024, he bought a copy. And then there was a show we were in. They put together. I was in that show, and he walked right up to me and he goes, "I'm going to be in CROM Anthology #1. Oh. What do you want?" And he goes, "What do you want me to do?" And I was like, "Oh, this is perfect. I want to do a photo comic because once again on my board, my wish list was I wanted a photo comic, and I wanted particularly Zoe Angeli, who also goes by Osir Angel, as the model. And so we started setting things up, and she would cancel, or it just it wasn't coming together. So it at like literally like I was like, dude, if I can't get something in a week, I gotta move forward on you, and I gotta fill either the page or do whatever. And he's like, and then I'll have something. And so he had this one photo shoot that he used, primarily just dressed himself up and took a whole bunch of other shots, and then submitted this. And I was like, perfect. And then I did all the scripting with ChatGPT, and it just basically helped me write out this script. And then I did the lettering and put it right over the top with some like special effects. Like you can see the ghosting skull that comes through. Because the sword for Skullbiter is is alien. It's an alien entity, goddess. So that's going to be obviously a big player coming forward and stuff. And Af Gorkum.
Very cool. That was what I did. Tales to Enlighten, the anthology one. It's like I wanted to represent all sorts of different styles, and like the idea that you're doing the same thing here with the Amerimanga thing, and then the Fumetti photo comics. I mean,
Matt, I can't when your
tip of the hat.
Well, I mean, your second volume, is it's such a obviously this is the thing that rocked my world. And Paul and I have been talking. Yeah. Ken and I, we've been talking. I got to put it on hold, but because I haven't found another artist to work with, like I'm doing with Adam on expanding, the material. But anyhow, there's just it's.
Yeah, so I had Ken's work. I got that crazy, AI thing. I have, the Warren, like Doc Zab did the Warren magazine style stuff. I mean, that was the idea. I did not get a photo comic though. So.
So I beat you. You. Yeah. Well, that was just dumb luck. But the fact that like it's not only like it's very biblical in the sense of like not only like what you're saying, but like all you have to do is just open it up and be like, dude, I could spend 20 to 30 minutes not only reading this story but like being like, what's this all about? Who's this Ken? You know what I mean?
Kenny
like
Ford, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's so much more than like so many comics in the way of like trying to entertain me, like help me get my rocks off in a sense, like oh look, gorillas with machine guns, big tits. You're like, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm buying that, you know what I mean? But like you get it and you're like, okay, cool. Where the way you say you're treating and you've treated CROM Anthology is exactly the way I've been treating Tales to Enlighten. And it's just, I think it's something centric to indie comics that I would love to see, explored and expand upon,
right.
As people are getting involved, and that is happening, what I mean? Like you mentioned, Jamie Barrows and the Brutal Blade of Crom crew, Alex Turbin and Random Access, it's happening. All right. So
do you want to put a pin in this? We're about halfway through.
Yeah.
I got about 18% left on my battery.
No worries at all.
But I mean, we could pick this up another time,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Whatever you want to do.
No. Well,
I feel like we got a lot left to get through, and I don't want to short shrift anybody,
No. We do actually have a lot. Yeah, we do. We have a lot. Nope. That's exactly it. And I want to talk. I definitely want to talk with you about the indie creator con, and OAX, and comic, was it CAF, comic art fan, and all that's going on with Kezra and Matt.
Yeah, I have
Sardo
to
and them.
admit, I'm not as looped in as I have been in past years. Oh, I don't. I mean, I don't know when tables go on sale, or I
Right.
know it's in Providence this year on my
Yep.
birthday. So if anybody wants to come
Woo!
out and shower me with gifts, that's fine.
Birthday.
But I mean, I'm almost tempted. I'm not tempted. I might not even get a table. So I don't know. We'll see.
Got to be there though. You better be there.
I definitely come down, but I just can't imagine selling Tales to Enlighten another year without anything new, But I don't know. We'll see what the price is. I might do it. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean it's basically down the road from you.
Yeah,
Right?
for sure.
Yeah.
It's
Cool.
closer than New Haven was. New Haven, I
Yeah.
think, was 2 hours maybe from me.
Oh man.
So I think this is only going to be like an hour and a little more.
Change.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think it adds an hour for me.
Yeah, bummer.
Which
I mean,
is
I don't know.
5.5.
I don't know if anybody's talked about, like, is there a hotel, a central hotel, like, close to there?
Yeah.
So we can recreate what was happening in years past. And
Kazris has said, because if you watch the Ink Pulp interview with him,
I did.
He meant the thing he was really excited about was the sports bar in the arena that we're going to take over and do the after party.
All right, I probably
evening
missed
type
that part,
of thing,
yeah.
stuff. So I've heard that twice. So I'm wondering if, like, everybody's got to just deal with their hotels. Although sometimes they get one hotel to block out, so they get the rate. They get the rate. I'm sure that'll happen, because it's always cool to just wake up in the morning and be like, "Hey, Ken Landgraf. Hey, Jim Rugg. Hey, Matt Kig." You know what I mean? Like,
the idea that it was at the hotel bar worked out great, because that's when you were done. When you were done, you were done. It
was so sweet.
Just go up to the room.
I was bugging Matt Sardo about keeping the room that Jake and I were in and adding 4 friends to that room and turning it
curating
into
a room. Right.
Yep. We were going to call it like the Turbo something room. And I got 4 people. Jamie Barrows was one of them. So Noah for Black Arrow. But anyways, he goes, his response was so funny, because Matt said, oh, what a great idea. Definitely would want to help you pull that off. But there's a chance that everybody will be in the same room next year. Right. So obviously at that point, they were already looking to get off that site into another one. So.
Right. So, I mean, if I go, I might not have a table of my own. I might just...
we can always hang out with Jake and I.
I could run the Power Pulp table or something.
Oh, yeah, you got that too. Yeah. So. But Jake and I will definitely get 2 tables, because we were so blessed to not have somebody show up next to us.
And
Matt gave us, Yeah.
It was totally, Amy, of course you guys loved it because you guys are both so cheap. You got it for free, but.
But yeah, looking forward to it. Oh, before I forget, we want to do a show basically north of New York, trying to get couple people, Jamie Barrows and Alex Turbin, you maybe, but I had said, I guess I might have said it off camera or something, but I said we should talk to Matt King about smaller indie shows out and around, maybe west of Boston, if there's any. So especially in the spring, like spring shows. So if you know of anything, just like a one day, just to maybe get all of us to jump down into. I know Jake and I are very much down for it.
That would be fun, but I don't know. I know there's this couple people, including Steve McCardle, sent me this. I have it right up here. It's called CodCon, like Cape Cod, CodCon, Sunday, April 26th in Hyannis.
Oh wow!
And I think it's free I think it's free tables too.
Wow, I could stay with my my wife's aunt.
You go. Yeah, I'll forward you the information. But I know Steve wanted to do it, and then a bunch of Boston buddies of mine are also doing it. But
yeah, definitely send that all over to me.
I've never. Yeah, it's codcon.org is the.
Okay.
But I'll send it. I'll forward it over to you too. So that might be a thing, but I can't. I've never been to it. I don't know. Is it just 10 tables? I don't know. So.
Hyannis. Yeah. That's a lot of kids. Ugh. No. No, thank you.
Yeah.
But anyhow, not cool. But Matt, hey man, thanks for taking the time. Always love chatting with you.
We'll talk and reschedule a second half because I'm having fun.
Yeah. No, it's good for me because this type of thing is helping me sort of like kind of breathe out, like let go and get into the next space, and also keeping things continuous, at least in the curating part of it, and connecting. But still let it all just fall into place, if you will.
Is my half of the screen like all pixelated and blurry again? Is that the deal?
I see it.
It's perfect on my phone when I'm looking at it. I just turned YouTube on to see what it looked like. That's how it's been the whole time.
I think so. It kind of goes in and out, but it could have recorded. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see on the after.
What am I doing wrong? I have it. I'm sitting on top of the router, so it's not that.
No. It could be like if your phone set it to like 4K video or pictures, like your. I put mine to 1080. Like my phone's at like 1080.
I don't even know. You'll have to tell me how to change that.
Yeah. You got to go into deep settings and stuff. But it could be you just have such an incredibly good phone that it just, it takes a lot more. I guess. I don't know.
It looks like I'm on AOL.com dial-up or some shit.
Yeah, but it makes you so much more mysterious.
I know. Great. All right, Kurt.
All right, brother.
Talk to you later.
Late.
Okay.